Less than 2 years ago, AI-generated 3D models looked like this. Today, they are still not perfect, but the progress is obvious. So I decided to compare 3 services which are the best for AI 3D model generation right now. Each of them can be used for free. Hunyuan 2.5, Meshy AI and Trellis allow you to create 3D models from text or from images. I'll try to test all the services in the same conditions, so I'll use the same prompts and images in each generator so it will be easier to compare the results. But first, let's see pricing and limitations of the free plan. Meshy AI has free plan with 100 free monthly credits. You can create at least 5 different 3D models with textures. The cheapest paid plan costs $20 per month and offers 1,000 monthly credits. Hunyuan doesn't have paid plans so far. Here you have 20 free generations per day, which means up to 80 3D models for free if you'll generate models from text. Trellis also can be used completely for free on the hugging face. You can generate 5 or maybe 7 models per day for free. Okay, let's start with creating models from text prompt. Trellis allows you to create models from images only. So now we'll compare Meshy AI and Hunyuan. This time, I want to create yellow cartoonish frog with big eyes. First, I'll generate 4 meshes without textures. It costs 10 credits. As you can see, only 2 left variations really look cartoonish, and other 2 models look too low poly. Okay, let's create texture for this model. It will cost 10 more credits. The color matches my prompt, but the eyes look creepy. And there are some white spots. Probably these should be reflections of some light sources, but looks really weird. Here is how it looks with enabled lighting. What if I generate texture for this draft? Of course, it is still low poly, but the texture isn't so bad this time. I'll use this prompt in Hunyuan. You should select Vincent 3D to generate models from text. Here you can select one of these 6 predefined texture styles. Obviously, I'll use cartoon style for this generation. Generation process takes around 5 or 7 minutes. Pretty good. But here we have an imposter. As you can see, all the models already have textures. There's no low poly variations. The color doesn't match my prompt at all. Only one frog is actually yellow. If you look at texture details, you'll see that they are sharper than in Meshy AI. Textures look much more interesting. But of course, there are small imperfections around the eyes and in some other places. For example, here you can see 4 nostrils for some reason. And here are fingers from different legs merged together. Third variation is probably the best if we look at texture and mesh details quality. Here are the best results I got in both services. Needless to say that 3D model generation from text works much better in Hunyuan. But this time, I created cartoonish models. The results can be different if I'll try to create something realistic. So now I want to generate heavy armored medieval warrior. He should have sword and shield. I don't understand why, but in all 4 cases the weapon looks weird. Let's generate texture for this variation. Nice, there are lots of small details. Of course, if you look closer, you'll see that some of them are unclear. Look weird like on the cloak, for example. Face doesn't look really bad. Let's see how it looks with lighting. Honestly, I expected that result could be even worse. Okay, I'll use the same prompt in Hunyuan. Texture style will be realistic. The first thing we can see this time, the weapon looks better. There are no weird, unnecessary details. But if you look closer, the imperfections of the texture will become obvious. The biggest problem is the edges of different details, where the color of one detail partially covers other details. All the models in this case look in almost the same way. It is hard to choose winner in this case. Both services have problems with clarity of the small details on the textures, but probably the geometry of the models is better in Hunyuan. The obvious advantage of using images as references for 3D model generation is that you have almost full control over the style, colors, and shape of the object or character. Now I'll use this simple 2D illustration as reference. After uploading your image, Meshy AI will generate description of the image you added. You'll see it here. It doesn't affect the generated model, so you can change model name to whatever you want. I got 4 drafts created from my reference image. Only one of them doesn't look like low poly, so I'll create texture for this one. Here is it. Shape and colors match the reference, but if I zoom in, we'll see lots of imperfections. Sometimes such things can look good as stylization, but receive such result by default is disappointing. Jacket lapels are completely spoiled. I didn't notice this on the draft version. I'll make second attempt with this draft, for example. In general, this time texture is not 100% perfect, but there are not so many obvious artifacts. And the same image with teddy bear will be used in Hunyuan. I switched to Tusheng 3D to use image as reference. Hunyuan generates only one 3D model from your reference image. You can see how smooth the model is. Very small imperfections can be visible only if I zoom in. Here is some unclear place on the nose. And it looks like it's not so easy for AI to define where are the edges of different details. So here's why textures may look like they are manually painted. And for example, eyebrows partially covered with purple color, which is main color of the whole body. And let's see what I can get with the same picture in Trellis. I'll use Trellis 3D model generator in Hugging Face Space. If your image don't have transparent background, you can upload the picture and background will be automatically removed. In most cases, it will look good enough. Here are generation settings. I recommend you to keep them at default values for the first generation. I'll just increase steps value of the sparse structure generation a little. Preview generation will take around 10 or 15 seconds. Here you can see texture and shape of the model. In this case, texture almost line by line follows the original image, which is not what I expected to see. Back of the bear is black. Probably this happened because the character has black outline. So this is time to change some of the generation settings to get better result. If I decreases parse structure generation strength value, almost nothing will change. I want to make the body of the bear evenly colored and get rid of this dark shadow. So this time I increased structure latent generation value, and as you can see, shadows became even darker. This means that I can decrease value of this adjustment to get better texture. The result became better, the shadows aren't so dark. So you can see that structured latent generation adjustment affects the texture quality. Okay, I want to save the model as GLB file. Texture size will be set to maximum and simplify value will be set to 0.9. So the quality of the mesh and texture will be maximized. Here is the model. If I'll set simplify value to 0.98, you'll see the triangles when I zoom in. Texture remained the same, but mesh is simplified. If you use simple 2D illustration as reference, the advantage of Hunyuan is pretty obvious. I got the best result among all three services from the first try. Trellis is almost unusable in this case because you should play with settings and make several attempts to get something at least not terrible. Now I have this image of a cartoonish dragon. It doesn't look as flat as previous picture of a bear. I'll use it in Hunyuan first. Overall shape is really similar to the reference, which is great. But when I zoom in, we can see common texture artifacts on the eyes. And the claws should be white, but there are lots of different unclear spots. I'll try to generate model from this image again. It's easy to regenerate any model in the Assets tab. Use this Regenerate button. A new version of the model will be generated using the same image or prompt, but this time, nothing has changed to the better. The horns on the previous version were smooth. Now they became low poly. The eyes have the same imperfections, as well as claws. The same reference will be used in Meshy AI. I'll get 4 drafts. 2 dragons have 6 paws, another 2 dragons have 2 tails. You won't see any of these additional details on the original image. I generated another 4 drafts because none of previous variations match my image. 2 of these new drafts don't have extra tails, so I'll generate texture for one of them. Okay, the result is pretty good. I'll disable lighting to see the texture better. Wow, this result is probably better compared to what I got in Hunyuan with this image. There is no unclear spots on the paws and claws. Eyes don't look really bad too, as for me. And Trellis. I'll add my picture. I won't change default settings. Just increase sampling steps value here. As you'll see on the preview, texture doesn't have such problems like texture of the teddy bear, but there are almost white spots on the body of the dragon. I can try to fix this in the same way I tried to get rid of dark shadows from teddy bear model, but this time, decreasing strength of the second adjustment didn't help. Okay, I'm not going to take 100 different attempts to get better result. I set maximum model quality, but when I zoom in, we can see the polygons. It will be hard to define the winner in this case. If we compare the original picture with overall shape of the model, Hunyuan and Trellis did better job, because the head of dragon generated in Meshy AI is a little bit too rounded. But if we look at the textures, Meshy AI generated the best texture as for me. Hunyuan has the same problem with unclear colors of small details. We saw this in previous generations too. Trellis misinterprets the shadows or illuminated areas on the objects and creates too dark or too bright spots where they shouldn't appear. In general, there's no 100% perfect service for 3D model generation from text or image reference. But I hope after watching this video, it will be easier for you to decide which generator is better for your goals.